A new study says that nearly half of electric vehicle owners are likely to switch back to gas. That's 46% of U.S. electric vehicle owners are leaning towards switching back to traditional gasoline cars. That's according to the McKinsey and Co survey. Actually, more than half of the people and many other studies have said they're going back to gas or hybrid. Now, with most of those participants citing difficulties with charging. Now, here are the details, and this is important. According to the consulting firm's latest Mobility Consumer Pulse report, U.S. EV owners are the second most likely to have signaled that they intend to switch back to internal combustion engines or gasoline-powered or potentially hybrid, right behind Australia. So here's why this is important. While the report notes that global purchase intent for EVs is continuing to rise slowly, nearly half of the U.S. drivers admitted they are likely to change back to traditional gas. This underlies the difficulties that the U.S. and other governments will be facing in getting consumers to transition to EV permanently, which is what their plan is. And the report also found that building out charging infrastructure isn't only a U.S. problem, it's a problem for many countries looking to electrify their fleets and lower their emissions. And a lot of countries don't even have charging stations, such as India or Pakistan, where it's extremely difficult to get charging. But the excitement around EVs is still real. Among current non-EV owners, the share considered a battery EV or a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle has grown between 3 or 4 percentage points from December of 2021 to February of 2024. The number of those who want a new or used ICE or gasoline-powered car has stagnated or declined within that same time period. And 27% of European consumers are likely to consider a Chinese EV brand, which would prove tricky for the EU, considering it decided to impose additional tariffs on electric vehicles imported from China, which are substantially cheaper than other brands. Consulting firm McKinsey and Co surveyed two groups of car owners, those who own an electric vehicle and those who own gasoline-powered vehicles, who have thought about buying an EV. The survey found that 46% of Americans who own EVs are ready to switch back to gasoline-powered vehicles, and EV owners listed several reasons of why they were having buyer's remorse. 35% said there was a lack of charging infrastructure, 34% said the costs were too high, 32% said the planning of a long trip has become completely difficult, and 24% said they had no way of charging their car from home. Remember, in the US, only 67% of citizens have garages, so they would have to charge on a public charging. 21% said they were worried about keeping their vehicle charged. It was becoming stressful. We call that charging anxiety. And 13% said they did not enjoy the comfort when driving in an EV. It's probably that silent feeling like you're in a library. That number shocked Philip Kampoff, the leader of McKinsey's Center for Future Mobility. I guess it's once an EV buyer, always an EV buyer, is what he thought. But he was wrong. The McKinsey survey found owners of gasoline vehicles won't buy an EV for these reasons. 45% said electric cars were too expensive. 33% said they had concerns about charging them, which sounds very similar. 29% said they had a range anxiety of how far the car would go before needing charging, especially with weather conditions. 58% said no way they're ditching their current vehicle. 53% of the electric car owners said that their next car purchase would most likely be trading it in and converting to a gasoline-powered car. Although they admitted they were skeptical about electric cars because they enjoyed driving them, but they're going to switch back to gas-powered cars. Now, the other countries included in the survey were Brazil, China, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, and Norway. And across all countries surveyed, the average share of respondents who want to ditch their EVs was almost 30%. U.S. Democrats passed infrastructure legislation in 2021 that committed billions of taxpayer dollars to building 500,000 charging stations in the U.S. by the end of the decade. But 3 years later, only 7 federally funded chargers have been built to date, and the slow progress has sparked condemnation from both sides of the political aisle. Rather than forcing the market to adopt to a government-mandated technology, the government should have let the innovation and the competition drive the adoption to EVs. This would have changed the whole dynamic, and this would lead to a more efficient and more cost-effective solutions, rather than the top-down approach that will ultimately fail. I'm curious what your opinion is. Put it in the comments below. Do you own an EV? Are you going to stick with it or go back to gas? Or are you considering an electric vehicle? I'm curious what your opinion is. If you like this video, give it a like and subscribe for more videos like this one. If you have any questions or comments, I'll be more than happy to answer. You can support me by buying me a cup of coffee. The link is in the description, plus all the links for our website, social media, my book, and our podcast. I'm Lauren Fix. Thank you so much for watching.